Welcome, everyone. Let's start the evening. We have a jam-packed evening for you all. So we have microphones, just FYI, because we are actually streaming this event live. Some of the folks are joining us live from different locations. Also, FYI, the cameras are for that reason, so that people can watch us live and then watch this session afterwards as video, which will be accessible to you too. So if you want to take notes, feel free to do so. But if you miss something, you can rewatch this session. It will be available to you after tonight. Before also we start, I want to thank our students, Richard, Mo, and May, who are helping us produce this event. So our students are always hands-on. And our student volunteers, Isabel and Evelyn, who greeted you. So we put everyone to work. And you'll also meet a number of our current students who volunteered to share their experiences, and also some of our alumni as well as we move forward with the program. So today we're going to tell you a little bit about the program in different ways, and we're going to kind of shape the conversation around questions so that you can get a sense of who we are, just beyond the way in which you saw it online or having heard from it from different people. And you're going to hear from a number of different folks that are involved with the program in different ways. My name is Ekin Yashin. I'm one of the directors of this program, so I'm really excited to meet with you tonight. Hopefully all of you are future students. In the section that I'll cover as we start this conversation, I'll tell you a little bit about who our program is. In the classes I teach, I often talk about how organizations and entities are who's, not what's, and we really believe in that, and our program is indeed a complex who that it makes up of different components. One of the bits that I wanted to start with is how we are actually pioneers. Some of you may have looked at our program, but I wanted to give you a quick sense of kind of the legacy of the program. The program is not a new program, so Communication Leadership Graduate Program has been around next year for 20 years. The program has been a pioneer in understanding how professional communication has been changing for now 2 decades. The program started in 2000 as a Master of Communication and Digital Media degree only to respond to the very dire need to understand how organizations can better represent themselves in the changing landscape. Of course, in the year 2000, a lot of interesting things happened. Can you tell me something that happened around that time, around the early 2000s, that would require companies to rethink who they are? What got around that time invented or started being used more? Internet, right? So all of a sudden companies do not just have to introduce themselves to you and tell you who they are, and you don't just see them represent themselves around the cities, but they are all of a sudden able to connect with you at your home. And then as we move forward during that time, our degree played a pivotal role as companies started using various structures of social media or new tools of engagement to relate with new people and to present who they are. In 2003, we launched a new degree because, again, we're pioneers. We want to understand how the professional communication landscape is changing. Our second degree, added in 2013, is about communities and networks to respond to the growing need that we heard a lot about, particularly in professional communication fields, about jobs that are related to engagement, understanding person-to-person communication, understanding building communities at work in national and global organizations. So we offer degrees in both, and you can take classes in both degrees. We're a dynamic degree. As we move forward, we're still trying to, and that's the second point about who we are, we're a responsive degree, evolve our program. What we call communication is an ever-evolving term. I have a PhD in communication. I don't know what the word means because I describe it in a new way every year. However, one interesting thing is how many jobs today have communication in their essence. So we do not just train professional communication folks, because that's not really, no one is a professional communication person, right? But there's so many interesting jobs that have communication at its core. So we try to strategically place our graduates so that they have that essence and they can have a flexible career or a specific career. My colleagues will tell you more about what those are. But one thing that I wanted to quickly highlight, shortly before this info session, Forbes had this article, and I love these top 10s because they're easy ones. Well, never fully believe them, but they're interesting ways of gathering things together, right? So they had this top 10 most important job skills every company will be looking for in 2020. Big claim, right? I know. But even with the big claim, I was very excited that we lived up to almost all of the, not almost all of the 10 listed there in different ways in our both curriculum, in person, in class, and beyond the class opportunities that we offer in this program. So some of those were critical thinking, adaptability and flexibility, creativity, cultural intelligence and diversity, judgment and complex decision making, and leadership skills. Again, as we move forward with the program, you'll hear about our classes and our beyond the classroom opportunities, and I can very proudly say that we build into all of these skills or more interpersonal skills in addition to job skills as well, that actually really strategically position our current students and alumni as well. Now, of course, we're a communication leadership program, so when we're answering the question who we are, indeed we're very connected because we're constantly thinking about connections and community. A communication program cannot be not about that. But what makes us unique actually as a program is the intentional connections that we built amongst our community. And we really believe that. When you join us, of course, you'll be joining a very diverse, very global community. About over 40% of our students are international students. No one community is majority, so we take pride in that. Many of our staff and members come from different parts of the world. I myself am from Istanbul, Turkey. So we really believe in DOA cultivating a really interesting group of students every year. So this year's 85 students come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, and also all different stages in their careers as well. Not just people who recently graduated, not just people who had long careers, but a combination of really dynamic folks. And that is also one of the most valuable assets that we offer in our program, creating pathways for those connections to happen. And of course, we offer so many pathways, and you're going to again hear about them, but I just wanted to highlight a few very quickly about how we connect you as you start your experience in the program by way of events that we bring in both our community and community at large in Seattle and beyond. We do a number of intentional public events, one of which was just last week at Town Hall. Some of you may have been there. We had a conversation with the author, Jenny Odell, whose book, How to Do Nothing, was our common book of the year. We always pick a book and read it with our students, alumni, and our community. And prior to the event, our students get to meet Jenny. And we had two alumni, one from Amazon and the other from Boeing, who responded to what they read from the book and talked about how it relates to their professional practice. So really interesting ways to connect folks. In that way, we're really unique. Featured below is a quick snapshot of our first Fridays. You'll hear more about these as well. There are monthly professional events, career events, where our students go to different organizations around town. Back in October, they were in We Communications, which is a communication agency that services, amongst many clients, Microsoft. So our students went there and connected with a number of different people at the organization. I heard about different roles and what they're working on, so that when they apply to jobs there, they could be strategically answer questions or prepare their applications as well. Last but not least, we will talk about this as well. We have a number of opportunities where you work beyond the classroom with a variety of different organizations. Our partner program this last year worked with a number of organizations that dealt with both issues of homelessness and housing affordance more broadly, and provided our students thinking to key organizations, and our students walked away with different projects and products that they can use as they move forward with their careers. that's a really quick snapshot. Of course, you're going to keep hearing about who we are throughout the day. All members of our community is a testament to who we are. But I want to turn it over to my colleague Heather now. And we're going to transition to another question, what we value, which I think will give you a great sense of our program. You can really get a great sense of a program by what they value as a collective, so we want to share that. So I turn it over to Heather now.
Thank you, Ken. So I want to talk about accessibility, which is one of the tenets that we value. And I'm talking about that in 3 different areas. So in admissions, we value accessibility in that no GRE. We do not require it. We do not look at it. Please don't submit it. There's no required prerequisite classes either. You can have any major. You can never have taken a comm class before, and that's totally fine. We get people from all different backgrounds academically. And then also there's no work experience required. So you get a number of people coming fresh out of undergrad, maybe haven't even done an internship, totally fine. We are open to people of all different backgrounds in the program. Another aspect of accessibility is tuition. So all students in the Comm Lead programs pay the same tuition. We don't have resident and non-resident rates like a state-funded program does. And so that it makes it a lot more affordable for students from out of state or international students who are paying the exact same as someone born and raised in Seattle. The other thing about that is that while we do have to increase tuition every year generally, we try to keep that increase as small as possible. And traditionally it's been far lower than UW's general tuition increases that they have every year. I think in recent years UW might have raised tuition 12 to 16%. We raised it 3 to 5%. So we try to keep that as affordable as possible. And our program is eligible for federal financial aid. So by filling out the FAFSA, you can get financial aid to help pay for this program. In terms of class schedule, our accessibility is that all of our classes meet in the evenings and on weekends so that you can work full-time while you're in the program, or if you're a full-time student, you can do internships during the day. So your Monday through Friday is clear while you're a student in the program. And you also have the option to take quarters off during your degree. So we have 2 required classes that everyone takes at the same time, but aside from that, we have a lot of students who will attend a quarter, take a quarter off, take a couple quarters off. You can be flexible in how you complete the degree as long as you finish within 6 years, so that it's really doable for folks with a lot of other commitments in their lives. And with that talk about accessibility, I will turn it over to my colleague Anita to talk about our relationship to technology and more.
Yeah. Thanks, Heather. Hi, everybody. My name is Anita Verna-Crofts, and I'm the Associate Director at Comm Lead, and it's great to have you all here. There are a few things that I want to share with you in this particular round on what we value, and the first is our relationship to technology. And for a master's program with one of the tracks being digital media, this is something we think about a lot, both in terms of the way we build our curriculum, but also just what is the relationship we have with technology. And so I want to mention a couple key things, certainly one being that we see technology as a tool, not a means to an end. We believe very much in encouraging our population to adapt to emerging technologies. Also that we think about technology in the way that it's able to it's very important for us to align those technological advances with inclusive design practices. How is this technology serving society? Who is in the room when deciding around technological design considerations? And so really situating the idea of technology in terms of not only what are the affordances of technology, but how can we make sure that that technology is serving as wide a population as possible in as deep and as rich a way as possible. So thinking very intentionally around technology is a key value in our program. In addition, we're very passionate in terms of the kind of people that we attract to the program and wanting to make sure that your passions are then reflected in the curriculum that we offer. Ken mentioned this briefly. We have 8 curricular areas of focus. These are designed very intentionally to reflect not only the kinds of jobs and the kinds of expectations that we know employers have and that make our graduates attractive in the work environment, but they're also meant to help you navigate the program. Heather mentioned a little bit about the way that we tailor the time that classes meet. We also very much tailor the curriculum so that there's a really wide range for the 2 degree emphasis that we offer, the Master of Communication in Digital Media and the Master of Communication in Communities and Networks. These curricular areas spread across both of those degree emphasis, but you'll find that as you as you work your way through the program, along with the 2 core classes, we have a rich array of electives that fall within one of these curricular areas. And this is a design that's intended to help you think about what is the kind of career that you seek? What's your professional ambition? How can our range of electives meet your professional ambition and present you with opportunities to grow your skill set, connect deeply to certain networks that exist not only within the cohort, but with the professors that you would encounter. And so these curricular areas are ones that you'll find on our website. You can actually take a look at an entire year's worth of courses that are offered and where they fall in these 8 curricular areas. So this is a real taxonomy around the way that we think about our curriculum, but is meant to be not something that binds you or paints you into a corner, but instead gives you wide opportunity in terms of tapping into your varied interests. You'll see we have everything from organizational and professional communication to content strategy and user experience, ethics and law. It really is a buffet of just wonderful options when it comes to classes. The other thing that I think about when I think about our passion and how that's a core value of ours is the kind of faculty that we attract. The majority of our faculty are actually working practitioners. They are bringing their knowledge base, their deep-seated subject matter expertise into the classroom so that you are really hearing from people on the cutting edge of their particular line of work. We work very closely with these individuals so that they are given strong support networks in terms of their course design, the delivery, and the kind of community that we build around our faculty. So not only is this a program for passionate people about communication, it's a program with passionate faculty who, on top of a very fulfilling career, are electing to come here on campus and to teach all of you because they care so much about their particular discipline. So it's a very, I think the reciprocity there and that relationship is really something that distinguishes our program. We also are a program that's very much committed to cultivating what we call a global mindset when it comes to leadership. And this isn't simply that we open and really relish the international dimension of the cohort that we've talked earlier about, but it also really has to do with the kind of attitudes and way of walking in the world that is around being a lifelong learner, having deep humility, having that international antenna and that global antenna around we are all citizens of the world, and how can we think about perpetual self-improvement when it comes to the way that we think about service. We are in this, the leadership is a service-based activity. You are in service to the values of an organization. You are in service to those that you lead. And thinking about that in the context of how we all fit into an international network is deeply important to the work that we do at Comm Lead. And I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Head of Strategy, Alex Stonehill. He's going to talk a little bit about our partner program. Yeah. Is that good?
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm Comm Lead's Head of Creative Strategy. I'm also a student in Cohort 19 in the MCCN emphasis. And I want to talk about community. Specifically, we think really about our program as real-world learning with real-world impacts. So most of our, as Anita mentioned, our classes are often mostly taught by working professionals, and then they're really out there in the community trying to bring in guest speakers who are at the front of their fields, whatever it may be. The classes tend to be mostly applied learning classes where the projects that you do are often for client organizations or at least simulating working for real world organizations. So we try to move it just from the theoretical and take it beyond the classroom. And one really big way we do that is through our partnership program, which I head up, which involves students doing work for local nonprofits and other mission-driven organizations. You can see some examples here of the organizations we've worked with recently. As Akin mentioned, some of those have been in the housing sector, also in the ocean health and sustainability sector. And then this year we're working with a new Center for an Informed Public at UW, which is working on the problem of misinformation, fake news, kind of how to study that. And then our Comm Lead element of that is public-facing interventions and working with community organizations and publications to try to help them counter this problem as well. So the purpose of those projects are essentially to both give back to the community. They're also a mechanism for students to earn scholarships. They're also a mechanism for students to build their portfolios and to hone their skills in managing client relationships, which tends to be a really big real-life skill if you're freelancing or even if not. That tends to be one of the big areas areas of emphasis or learning for students who do these projects. And then also building your portfolio. You know, you walk out of those projects with portfolio pieces that you can say, I did this work for the Boys and Girls Club or for the Suquamish Tribe or for all these different organizations, and hopefully building community connections outside in the community. And one example, a couple years ago, we had some students who had an opportunity to travel to Belize to do a video project for a ocean sustainability organization called Future of Fish. So there's Aaron Good and Yao Wu who were there in Belize. Not all of these projects take you to tropical locations, obviously, as Wadi and others know. Some of them keep you right here, but there is potential for them to expand and become really defining, transformative experiences. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Jazz, who's going to talk a little bit more about our internal community here at Comm Lead.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jazz Espiritu. I'm head of program affairs here at Comm Lead, and I've been tasked to answer a pretty simple question for you all. What makes our community so strong? Well, for me to answer that question for all of you, we got to first understand who the community is. So at the beginning of every academic year, we hold an orientation for the incoming cohort for Comm Lead. This right here is cohort 19. In that orientation, they have an opportunity to meet with one another, go through some peer-to-peer activities, meet with faculty, staff, and alumni, as well as kind of understand more of their academic pathways while they're here in the program. Now, one of the activities that we did do with them is what we call a gallery walk, where we posted up questions in a room, and those questions range from what's your favorite song or what's your favorite movie to what's the most important word in your language. I'm going to take two of the questions and a bunch of those answers that cohort 19 answered, and I'm going to use those to hopefully get us to answer that question of what makes this community so strong. So the first question is, how do you define community? Now, before we get to the answers, I want you to consider this right now. How do you define community? Imagine being in a room with about 80 other people, big poster board. It says, how do you define community? You're about to put like a phrase or a word on it. So granted, that's about like 80 or so answers, and so I took a few of them and I put it up right here. How do you define community according to cohort 19? Cohort 19 defines community as people connected together, bound together, supporting each other. I really like this next part, collaboration plus empathy. Collaboration, the act of working together, empathy, being there with each other. And how do those connect? So a group with each other's interests at heart, confession and understanding, bridges between diverse individuals, a group of people who choose each other for support to lift each other up. And I left an extra bullet point there for you to input yours. Imagine it here on this slide and how you define community. So this is how cohort 19 does it. And the second question I wanted to share with you is, what's the biggest problem facing your field? For cohort 19, and don't forget, think of it for yourself as well, corporatization, variety plus equity, accountability, lack of understanding, impact, collaboration is back on here again, which I think is really interesting. Communicating vision, whether that's your own vision or maybe an organization or some kind of community that you're already a part of. Fear of the unknown, and of course a blank one there for you to input for yourself. What is some of the biggest problems you see in your field? And so when I take those all together, when I look at the what it takes to build a community and what are some of the overarching goals of this cohort, I land into three very specific things that I believe are the strengths of this community. The strive to be authentic in what they do and where they continue to be in whatever aspect that may be, in terms of how they build relationships with each other and how they build relationships in their own academic career. Collaboration, again, it was on both of those questions. It comes back on these ends too. Not only collaborating with each other, but understanding that collaboration happens from peer to faculty, peer to staff, and how even how faculty and staff connect with one another too. We're a community that continues to bind each other in all those different relationships. And then innovation. How are we even taking how we build community and being innovative about that? How are we pushing that forward, and how are we doing it differently in the words of a kid, pioneering the way that we build community. An example of how all of that shows up is even just this year we started student interest groups. We saw a need for it last year, and so we implemented it here. It's interest groups that are for Comm Lead students, led by Comm Lead students. And so they got to, folks who wanted to lead very specific groups pertaining to different interests, such as our international student group, or folks who own like small businesses, can come together and have conversations and be with one another and build that community. That's just an initiative we started this year. And you can see how many groups that we already have. And we're excited to see what this looks like in years to come. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Liao to talk about alumni work and career advancement.
Awesome. Thank you, Jess. So now let's talk about career. So my name is Liao Zhao. I am the head of outreach at Communication Leadership Program, and welcome everyone to join us. So within my role, I help with the career development, industry outreach, as well as the student recruitment. So welcome every new face in this room. So every time, I would say, like when I go to a graduate fair, I've met some of you in different fairs, and the question that our students ask most is, what kind of job opportunity do you have? What kind of career opportunity do you have? And where do your student go after they graduate, right? So here is the answer. So if you take a very brief overview about where our alumni work at, and you can tell from this picture that they're working at different kinds of organizations and companies. Some tech companies such as Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, as you can tell, and T-Mobile. Some PR companies or agencies such as Week Communications, Wimber Shenwick, and Edelman, as well as a number of other nonprofit organizations that you can recognize, like King County, Seattle Public Utilities. So I see a question mark on your face. How can I get onto this dream job as a Comm Lead student? And what kind of career support do you offer at Comm Lead? And here is, let's move. And here's what we do. So number one, every month we have a First Friday event. So when we talk about First Friday, that means we pick up a different organization and we invite our students, Comm Lead students, as well alumni, to go to that particular organization to network with their recruiter, with their leadership team, like communication and marketing team, as well as our alumni who work there as professional staff. So at the event, we're able to connect with them. We're able to learn about their organization culture, as well as what kind of job opportunity or career opportunity they have. So we are helping you to grow your network. And number two, every year we host a couple of career development workshops, which are either led by our alumni fellow, where you are, Christy, she's sitting behind of us. She's going to join us for the career panel, as well as being led by our career coach. So within this career opportunities, you're able to develop your skills. And number three, in addition to that, I also send out a weekly job email every Monday. So when I share this opportunity with our Comm Lead students, I make sure that we have a direct connection there. So we're not just throwing to you to the job market, but we're helping you to connect with someone, either the recruiter or our alumni who are currently working there. So now you have heard a lot of our programs from me, from my colleagues, and I know that you really want to hear is the authentic voice from our students and our alumni. And today we're very lucky to invite 4 of them to join us. So let's welcome them to the stage. Welcome Christy, Carrie, Tong Tong, and Sweaty to join us. And I have a microphone for you.
I feel like we should stand under it. It's just get confusing otherwise.
Okay, so I will let you to start. Like match the pictures? Yeah, never mind.
Okay, I'll answer as we did.
So I'll let you to start with your self-introduction. Tell us a little bit about what is your name, what is cohort degree, and what kind of work are you currently doing?
Hi everyone. So, there's not really amplification. It's just so my name is Carrie Rose, and I'm cohort 18. I'm in the Communities and Networks track, and I currently work for a very small team at Amazon that's actually a publishing company. I write about and review digital camera gear.
Very cool. Nice to meet you. I'm Christy Weckner. It's nice to see all of you here. I believe I was cohort 8, and I was here from 2008 to 2010 in the MCDM program, and I currently work at Microsoft on the Minecraft franchise as a program manager.
Hello everyone, my name is Tong Tong. I may look different with the pictures because I wear glasses today. So I'm cohort 18. I'm a current student here in MCDM track. Now I'm an intern with SAP Concur in Belleville downtown.
Hi everyone, I'm Wadiel, cohort 18, and I'm in the Communities and Networks track of this program. And currently I'm a communications fellow for UW Center for Human Rights.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So you all pursued a master's degree in Comm Lead. Why? And why that happened? Yeah. And what you have gained from your experience?
Okay, so yeah, I think I'm from Tunisia originally, and so coming from there, where, you know, pretty much what I've seen right now kind of like started there, like in terms of, you know, digital platforms, elections or closing revolution, and also like fake news and all these things that we see right now. And so I kind of wanted to understand that. I wanted to study it. And Comm Lead at that time seemed like a really forward-thinking program that was adapting each year to a topic. And so for me, it was kind of like the perfect program. I didn't apply for any other programs. That was the only master's program I applied for. And so I knew that through that program, I was able to not only understand and, you know, kind of like think about what just happened in the world, what's going to happen, but also, you know, think about solutions. And so that was kind of like how I was approaching what I wanted to apply for.
So I'm an undergrad student with UW, so I've been here for about 6 years. And when I was an undergrad here, my undergrad advisor recommended the Comm Lead program to me. So I walked to the second floor and saw the posters on the wall. And I knocked the doors of Anita's and Heather's, and I believe they don't remember me. So it's about 2 years ago. And then I did some homework. So since I'm an undergrad student here, so I know the curriculum, I know the instructors, some of the instructors. So I want to try something different. So for undergrad, we focus more on ethics, theories, and more about communication, media studies. So I want to try something more practical and can help me to develop some hands-on experience in real world. So I do some research and find Comm Lead program is the right one for me. So this is the only master program I applied for. And I even want to try the program with USC or LSE. But before December 2017, I gave up for all those universities, which used to be my dream school. So I chose Comm Lead in 2018. And I feel like it's the right place for me.
Let's see, excuse me, I decided to go into grad school because I was working in public relations for 7 years during what was a huge transition period. I worked in PR when we were folding press releases and licking envelopes and mailing them out. And so during my tenure in PR is when it changed to sending press releases via email. And then all of the disruption started happening with social media starting and newspapers closing and people, my media contacts were disappearing. So I thought I needed something else. I looked into business school, I got into law school, and ultimately ended up here. I liked the communications aspect, the novelty of this being a niche but very flexible program. Yeah, and it was a good choice.
Hello again. For me, I discovered I really liked school somewhere between 9th and 11th grade. Was not too into it before then and was kind of sort of into it after that, but I ended up going to Western Washington University and doing a degree in visual journalism. And right about the time I graduated, I decided I want a master's. And then I looked at the $25,000 of student debt that I was carrying, and I decided I should probably get a job first. So I was very fortunate, and I got a job coming out of my undergrad degree in 2011. And while kind of just on that job and starting to look and think about what I wanted to do next, I found this program, 2012, 2013, and I started kind of following it and paying attention to it. And I thought for a long time, my first job was doing photo and video work. And so I was looking at the digital media track as being a way to really augment the skills that I was basically already doing. Fast forward to the time where I actually finished paying back my student loans. And I had basically learned a lot of those digital media skills on the job because I had to or I would lose said job. So it ended up being very fortuitous that I rediscovered the program at a time when I was at a new position, had a little bit more flexibility, and I decided to go into the communities and networks track because that was kind of turning my skills on their head a little bit. Instead of being kind of the production side of things, it was more the strategy side of things. So I was endeavoring to make myself a little bit more well-rounded. I didn't want to necessarily be pigeonholed as just a content creator, and don't get me wrong, content creating is great, it's still super fun, but I wanted options, and I found that this program was a great place to explore that, and what I've gotten out of it so far is a lot of inspiration, some really strong professional contacts, some really strong friendships, and it's a really supportive community that it's flexible and they work with you throughout whatever you need. So I really enjoyed my time here so far. I'm probably about halfway through.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, great to hear about your journey. So let's move on to your journey after you start with Comm Lead. Maybe what their experience might be similar with what you experienced, so you can match a little bit. So after you start with Comm Lead, is there anything that you feel like unexpected or surprised you after you started?
I
you have a
prepared.
talking point.
Well, the funny
Yeah.
thing is, I
Well
wrote
prepared.
down what surprised me, so it's not surprising anymore because I wrote it down. I think one of the things that really sticks with me, as you heard about earlier, is the diversity of the group. When you have a diverse group, you necessarily have a diversity of ideas coming in, and the space that's created where it's encouraged that people share those ideas, I mean, it's really eye-opening. I mean, I've learned so much that I wouldn't learn if everyone in the program looked like me, quite frankly. So that was a really pleasant surprise, and I've really, really enjoyed that part of the program. I also am consistently blown away by the quality of the guest speakers in every class that I've taken so far. Almost every class will have guest speakers for you. They're professionals, they're seasoned professionals. Some of them are even like minor celebrities. Depends on how many books you read, I suppose. But that was also really, really nice to have these real world people coming in and giving you their perspectives on the industries that they're in.
Yes, I completely agree on the minor celebrities. For me, it was really eye-opening and unexpected and valuable to have so many peers in my cohort and the cohorts on the other side of mine who were such experienced, seasoned professionals themselves. So learning from one another was very advantageous. And the slide previously about the faculty reminded me how amazing the faculty are as well, particularly in that so many are working professionals. Those people also are who you work with. You end up crossing paths with in the business world. So it's pretty cool. You have the network of your students as well as this network of business professionals that are also your instructors.
I was surprised by the relationship between the instructors and the students, as well as among the peers, because I didn't get off school or stay away from school for a long time. So all I remember is the curriculum or how it organized in the classroom format when I was at undergrad here. So, but for the grad school, the grad program for Comm Lead, we have more practical projects, and almost all the professors, they come from the industry, so they have real world experience, and they didn't provide you the multiple choice exams, but you have freedom to choose to do some projects that can help you with your own work, or can help you to build your own portfolio. And also, the instructors is more like the friends, so they help you grow your skills and also help you build your network. And also for the peers and all the students I met from the classes, they're very, very willing to help everyone, help each other. So when I had an interview about half a year ago, and I shared the information with my group members, and they helped me with prepare for my interview and share their experience with me. So I feel like the community is really tied with each other.
I think the diversity too, it's been pretty surprising, and I want to talk about diversity of professional backgrounds. I mean, those like group work that you do and you're like afraid of them. For me, I was like surprised how amazing they were, because you would work with people with, you know, different backgrounds, you know, healthcare, I don't know, like law, people with like philosophy degrees. So, and those were the kind of groups where I was like, man, I feel like companies should have these kind of same diversity in the groups, because not everyone think the same framework of, you know, communication, you know, results, stuff like that. No, there are people thinking about ethics, there are people thinking about, you know, what's challenging with that, you know, who's not in this room. And so I think that what Comm Lead does really well is creating an environment that is pretty diverse, where, you know, people have, you know, backgrounds from different backgrounds, and that kind of like help you, you know, in terms of, you know, solutions or problems that you're thinking about.
Right. So Chongdong just mentioned about faculty, so let's move to talk about curriculum. So what is your favorite class when you were at school, and or maybe most impactful class for you? Yeah.
I'm a politics nerd, so I really loved crisis communications class. I mean, that was eye-opening. After that class, I kind of like thought about how that class should be taught, like in high school, along with philosophy too. And I mean, in that class, in a way, it's also changing. I mean, I'm pretty sure she had to change her curriculum, like, you know, each year, because things are moving really fast, and like crisis today is not like crisis, you know, 5 years ago, especially now with this environment. So she would ask us each week to bring a, you know, case study, and we were kind of like, it was like an easy job for us, because, you know, there's like a crisis every day. So it would be like really hard, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, but that class made me think about a lot of things, like how people respond to crisis today is so different to how it was before. And so, and Melissa has a lot of, you know, experience in DC and working with, you know, big projects that you're blown away, like learning about all her, you know, involvements in these great, you know, projects. I mean, nationally. So that was kind of like one of my favorite classes.
So this is my fourth quarter here, so it's hard for me to choose only one class, but I feel like the most memorable one for me is the class I've taken last spring, this spring. So it's a multimedia storytelling class for emergent technologies. It's a class that designed, so before I take that class, I thought it's a class that we need to make a website or trying to learn how to code. Or try to use HTML to create something. But when I joined the class, we were told that we have freedom to choose whatever format we want to deliver our final project. So I grouped with 2 other students, Annie and Jesus. So 3 of us formed a group, and we decided to do something different. So within about 3 to 4 weeks, we organized an offline event. It's a dumpling tasting event held in your district. So we organized the event. We recording all the process, and we made several videos and also designed a website for that event. So all the work is done within 3 to 4 weeks. So event planning is something I'm passionate about, and I'm also interested in learning different cultures. So that's why we chose dumplings as a bridge to bring people together. And our instructor is very, very supportive. He provides some hands-for suggestion for us, but give us freedom to do whatever we want to do. So during that quarter, although we are very busy, and 2 of us have part-time job, and 1 of us have full-time job. But we try to squeeze in all the time and put effort into the final project. And I'm very happy to make friends with them. And actually, Annie is one of my best friends for now. Yeah.
So my favorite class years ago when I was in the program was one in which we had local business people come in and present their business cases or business problems to us, and then we would do a student project based on that. And it turned out that years later, I ended up getting a job at that company. And so it really helped to be able to say, hey, I've already done a project on your business, and I've already met your CEO because he was one of the people that came and spoke in our classroom. So that's one that stuck with me and had tangible value afterward.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a cop-out. I have 2 favorites. And I've only been here 4 quarters as well, so that's even worse. I did take 2 classes 1 quarter, though. So for me, it was a tie between Lisa Kuchu's class, which is the ethnography of communication, which is the study of communication, study of culture through a communicative lens. And I thought that was really fascinating. It kind of forced me, it's the research and methods requirement, so there's a lot of research, there's a lot of reading, there's a long paper due, but at the end of it, I did it on local car culture, which was pretty cool. So I literally went to cars and coffee meets. You talk to people, I got to interview someone who started one of these groups. I looked at kind of how the group interacts in person versus their communities online, and looking at that intersection there. So that was really interesting. The other class that I really enjoyed was Anita's listening and leadership class. Every week, I came away with information from that class that helped me in my day job, like every single week. And both of those classes combined basically just helped me be a better communicator in the most basic literal sense of just talking to people. It made me be a little bit more mindful of how other people's listening styles might either be receptive to my communication style, vice versa. It helped me be a little bit more of a chameleon, and that's in the sense that I can change how I'm talking to a certain person, not to deceive them, but to try to be more effective as both a communicator and a listener. So those 2 classes really last.
Thank you, Carrie. You did see your talking points.
I was checking while they were talking. I was cheating.
Right. So yeah. So I think one good thing about Comm Lead program is you're not only connected with your cohort, our faculty, but you are also get a chance to connect with our alumni fellows. So Christy is actually this year's alumni fellow. So do you want to share us a little bit about what is alumni fellow program and what you do as a fellow?
Yeah, definitely. So I believe there are about 6 of us, 5 to 6, this year as the alumni fellows, and we are available as a resource for students or incoming students. We also look to do events in which we help create community as well as offer advice or actual skills that we can help share and pass down to the students. Some examples of programs that we're looking at putting together for this year include salary negotiation, I believe is going to be one of them, as well as how to work with clients, tips on working with clients, and another one that we have in the works about imposter syndrome, how to overcome it in the workplace or what to be prepared for.
So now the next question is for you, Winnie. So in addition to taking classes, what other opportunities do you have outside the classroom?
Yeah, so I was fortunate to apply for this opportunity through Partners Program that is with the UW Center for Human Rights, where we're working on an amazing project that is kind of like made the change already and change what's happening in our county already. So the center was researching what we call ICE Air, which is the ICE deportation machinery. So it's pretty much all these companies using airplanes to deport people. And so my job is to be the visual communicator for that research. And so it's been a crazy, amazing experience so far. The video is not out yet; it's going to be out soon. But fast forwarding, I didn't expect myself to, be in a program that, forced the county to change how they, how they function, and that was kind of like a hands-on experience that I'm really excited to add in my portfolio, and that's what Comm Lead kind of like really helps you with, is that even if you have like if you don't have like a portfolio, you will end up with a really rich portfolio through the Partners Program or through classes, because in a lot of classes you create a video, app, something, a solution. So that's kind of one of the opportunities that I'm really really happy that I moved to.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so thanks for your answer. So now let's turn to everyone here. a quick question to you. So how many of you are currently doing your undergraduate at UW or other schools? Okay, a couple of them, a couple of you, and how many of you are in the media major or journalism or, okay. Okay, ask you this because that's what Tongtong's background. She is an international student originally from China, and she's not only a Comm Lead student, but also she did her undergraduate at UW Communication Department. And she decided to come to our graduate school right after you finish your undergraduate. So tell us a little bit what that process looked like and why you decided to come to graduate school directly.
So I was an undergrad here. I majored in communication and media studies and minor in nutritional science. I tried different majors while I was an undergrad. I tried international studies. I tried political science. I tried economics, but finally I graduated with communication and media studies because I still feel I have passion with communication. I have passion in digital media and marketing. And back to 2017, I was so struggled because my parents encouraged me to pursue a higher degree, go to grad school directly after graduate from undergrad. And all my friends back to high school, they all decided to go to the grad school after graduate. But I don't want to do something like them, and I feel like I should find a job. And I believe that I can learn more from the real world rather than in school. I don't want to pursue a degree just for a piece of paper, so I want to study something for myself and for the community. So when my undergrad advisor recommended this program to me, at first I didn't decide to apply immediately. I think about for, I guess, 2 months after I got 2 offers from California, 2 startups. And then whenever I'm thinking of I will leave Seattle, I feel so sad. So I want to stay here. I want to stay at the UW. So I just started to apply by the end of 2017. And then I finished all my application just right before the deadline. So I think I made the right choice because back to 2017, I didn't take advantage of being a volunteer. I didn't go to the info session like today, or I didn't join any First Friday or community events when I was an undergrad because all my extra time I did internship. I'm working for a radio station here at UW for 3 years. So all my extra time I spend in social with my friends or doing internship. So sometimes I feel regret that I didn't take advantage of being a student here and trying to network or participate in different events on campus. And I feel like Comm Lead taught me a lot during the past year. The 3 concepts which make me grow is storytelling, community, and connections. So I think if I can went back to 2017, I will re-prepare for my application and trying to involve those concepts and trying to rethink about my goal and the outcome after I graduate from this program. Yes.
Thank you, Toto. So question for you, Carrie. So you currently work full-time at Amazon while studying at Comm Lead. So tell us a little bit what kind of projects you're currently working on and how do you feel Comm Lead curriculum or study can support your work there?
So as I said earlier, I actually work for an editorial independent publishing company that is owned by Amazon. It's very complicated sounding. It's called Digital Photography Review. And so not only are we an online publisher, which means it's hard, we're an online publisher that's talking about digital cameras, which no one's buying anymore. So a lot of interesting challenges are coming with that. But one of the things that's really helped with this program is it's kind of inspired me to think a little bit about outside the box. It's really the onus is on the editorial team. I'm the reviews editor, which means that I edit every product we review. But if all we do is publish reviews, we're not going to have an audience for very much longer. So this program has really allowed me to kind of think of what sort of audiences are out there that we are not reaching, what sort of content experiments can we try just to see if we get some traction. And it's also, honestly, it's really helped me hone my writing from coming from a period of where I didn't do very much writing. So it's really helped me to target my writing style to the audience I'm trying to reach. So that's been something that's actually been very, very valuable as well.
Okay, great. So last question for Christy. So when we at the alumni meeting, you mentioned that you have changed your career position several times after you graduate, and you mentioned that Comm Lead helped you a lot. And how does it happen? Like, what Comm Lead help you with this transition?
Definitely. So in the past decade, I've changed careers, jobs 3 times. The first of those being when I was actually in the program. Someone that was one of my teammates on a class project, we got to know each other, and he said, hey, we've got a job opening on my team. Do you want to come talk to the hiring manager? And so I ended up working with him for the next couple years. Then we went our separate ways. He went to Microsoft, I went to geocaching. And years later, we reconnected again, and he's the reason why I'm at Microsoft. So my job in between geocaching was the company that I had done the school project for previously, where they had the CEO come in and talk to us. So I've had 3 jobs, essentially, my past 3 jobs, thanks to the program.
Okay, thanks for sharing. And before we finish our panel, do you have anything else that you want to share with our audience today, or any closing thoughts? If yes, just keep it short, like one quick, memorable sentence or 10 seconds closing thought.
Yeah, personally, I'm happy to answer any more questions that people may have afterward. And my advice would be, whatever direction you go, I found it helpful to always be engaged in some extracurricular activity, whether it's volunteering or finding a hobby in which you can continue to grow a skill set that may end up being valuable to you in whatever career path or networking you end up doing.
One quick closing thought from me. It is easy as you kind of chug along in your career to kind of get comfortable, to get complacent, to be like, okay, well, I got a paycheck. They're probably not going to fire me this week or next week. But one of the things that this program has really helped reignite in me is just curiosity. Curiosity is not something that you either have or you don't. It's a skill. You work on it. You practice it. And taking different classes, even things that I wasn't sure I would like, I would sign up for it, and then I'd go and sit in on the first class, and I'm like, holy crap, this is cool, and I didn't even know I would like it. So curiosity is a skill. That's what I want to leave you with. It's something you can work on, it's something you can improve, and it's something that is absolutely valuable, invaluable.
I don't think it's a piece of advice. It's more like a reminder for myself. So set up a goal, work harder and harder, and live in the moment. So before I joined the program, I was very shy. So although I did the radio program for 3 years, but it's all behind the scenes. So it's hard for me to speak in front of so many people and with my second language. I can do that with my first language, Chinese, but for English, it's hard for me. So I feel like after I push myself and step out of my comfort zone, and thanks to all the staff and faculty's encouragement, I can make progress and try to grow and develop my skills in different scenarios.
I would just say the same thing. I mean, if you are uncertain about what you're doing in your career, just be open when you apply to this program. You never know what you would really like and get into. Like doing like communication and true UX classes. I'm like, wow, like right now I'm questioning myself because this is like amazing. I want to do this thing. And I mean, it's kind of stressful, but also it's kind of good because you're still, in high school. You still have time to decide what you want to do, and so those classes give you, portfolio material that, I don't know, like in 2 years you want to change your career, you want to do UX, you can do that. You have connections through the program, you have portfolio material. So just be open.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And I will welcome you back to your seats. And now you might be interested about our program and wondering how to apply. And so let's move on to hand my microphone to Heather. So she is going to share about what is the next step.
Microphone transition here.
to clip that. So, how do you join us? And I realized when I first talked to you, I completely forgot to introduce myself. Ken introduced me. I'm Heather Ortel. I'm the Assistant Director for Academic Services for all graduate programs in content communication. So this is one of the programs. Perfect. All right. Good now. All right, so I work with students from the admissions process all the way through graduation and help with their degree requirements. And so part of that admissions process, you first have to apply. So if this has convinced you this is the program for you and you want to apply, our application priority deadline is February 3rd. That is, the deadlines are by midnight, so 11:59 p.m. Seattle time, February 3rd, so when you need to apply by. All international students are required to apply by that date, and that's because of the time it takes to process your visa and I-20 when you're joining a graduate program. We do have a final deadline of March 31st. I would say if you're here today and you're thinking about joining the program, definitely apply by February 3rd. The second deadline has limited spots available. No more than like 10% of the spaces in the program would be still available at that point, so definitely apply by the first deadline. Again, a reminder that we have no GRE, so you don't need to submit that. We can't even look at it because we don't require it, so don't even bother taking that expensive test or submitting the scores. You do have to have some minimum requirements to be eligible for any UW graduate program, and that's a 4-year bachelor's degree or equivalent, at least a 3.0 or B GPA in your most recent 90 quarter or 60 semester credits across all institutions. And there's an English language proficiency requirement for non-native English speakers that you have to meet. So that's just a quick overview of the application requirements and deadline. And then within the application itself, there's some standard elements we ask for your unofficial transcripts, your resume or CV. There's 3 recommendations, and those can be from academic or professional references. I'd say a lot of our students submit all professional recommendations because they've been out of school for a while. We have no preference as to who those come from, not your mom. Good rule there. Then you have a written personal statement that's 500-word max, where you tell us why this is the right degree for you, why you're pursuing the program, and how it's going to help you in your career. And there's a video element. So this is kind of a unique aspect of our application. We ask you to basically answer one question as if it was a Skype interview, but we can't interview everyone who applies. So this is our one chance to kind of get that one answer from you. If you're not graded on video quality, we ask you to do it one take. Most people just use their phone, prop it up, as if you're FaceTiming someone. And we ask you to tell us a story from your life that led you to apply to this degree or pursue this career. So it's very open. It's a way for us to get to know you more as a person off of paper. And then again, for non-native English speakers, there's evidence proficiency of English, and there's lots of different ways to meet that requirement. And applications are open now. We have our website up here at our Comm Lead website. How to apply page has all of these details for you. Just to give you a brief overview of the timeline, so early January, by then you should have designated your recommenders. You should have your application, pretty much in draft form. You're still working on it. Order scores if you need to submit TOEFL scores to meet that English proficiency requirement. Submit your application by February 3rd, and then we let you know by late March whether you're accepted, denied, or on our wait list. There's 3 different options for each application. And then we ask you to let us know if we admit you, whether you're going to come by April 15th so that we can those people that are on the wait list, we can make offers if needed for them and let everyone know their final decision. And then June 22nd is when you get to register for your fall classes for your first term in the program. So with that, we're going to move into our Q&A portion. And I'm going to be monitoring our Zoom feed. So if you're on Zoom and joining us that way, please feel free to type your questions in the chat, and I will reread those to the room. But for folks in the room, I'm going to have Ken kind of moderate and call on you. Us, or if you have questions for our alumni panel too.
Exactly. I'll refer to you guys to the corner if you have questions. So we're going to keep this about in 15 minutes or so because we want to also connect with you all who are in the room personally too, so you'll have time to connect with us and ask us questions one-on-one as well. Also, an exciting after the program, sorry for those who are watching us live on Zoom, we have pizza. So on your way out, so you virtually imagine the pizza emoji, try to smell it, but it's not near and as nice as the thing we have outside of the room. So you'll get to grab a slice of pizza after the Q&A and then come in, kind of chat with us more casually. And we're all here around the room, including our students, alumni, staff, and Anita and I are representing both staff and faculty, trying to answer your questions. So I'll first turn to the room and get a few questions, and then I'll turn over to Heather. So if you are watching us live in our live cast, please send questions. I know you've been sending some questions already, but Heather will be monitoring those and will be reading those out loud for us, and I'll be answering, and we'll be answering collectively those questions as well. So we'll turn it over to you now. Any questions? Clarifications. Go ahead.
Yeah, for non-English native speakers that are UW undergrads, do they still need to prove or provide a proof of English proficiency?
Heather will answer that question.
I should probably just put my laptop up here so I can do double duty. Beautiful. So one of the ways to meet the English proficiency requirement is with a U.S. bachelor's degree. So if you're graduating from UW, you meet the requirement right there. Yeah.
I have a master's degree in Chicago, so it's also that I don't need to have a certificate.
Right.
Yeah.
And I should have mentioned that. So a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree from a U.S. institution meets the requirement. Or a bachelor's degree from other designated English-speaking countries, which on our admissions page, it has the link to all of those, like Canada, Australia, UK, several countries that can meet that requirement.
Go ahead.
For the recommendations, I saw in parentheses it said name and email. Is that just name and email, or is it like a letter? Or?
Yeah, so within the application, you just designate the name and email address, and then the system sends them an email with a link to complete the recommendation. So it's an online system where there's a short questionnaire that asks them some questions about how they know you, how long they've known you, and then an opportunity for them to either upload a letter or copy and paste, type in a letter of recommendation.
Do you want to remind them that it gets sent out pretty rapidly, doesn't it?
Yeah, as soon as you designate the person and type in their email in the application, that automated email goes to them. So just make sure you've already spoken to them and they've already agreed to do that recommendation, so they're not like, what is this? That's happened.
So I saw website, it shows this program is like STEM major. So how does it work? Like, and how many international students got the OPT or intern?
Yeah, so both of our degrees are designated STEM degrees for the OPT, which if you're not an international student, these acronyms are, it's optional practical training. And so that means currently, and again, we can't promise what's going to happen with the administration or changes that could occur, but currently that means you get a 24-month extension. So you get a total of 3 years of optional practical training after you graduate. And most of our international students take advantage of that.
And I'll turn to a couple questions from the thread. I'd like to say hi to Sierra, who said hi to me personally, who used to be my student. So hi, Sierra. So the first question from the chat is there any teaching assistant or research assistant position available for students? So we have a number of opportunities. Currently, we have a video tutor. That's a current student. That's an hourly position. Through the partner program as well, we have opportunities for students to get small stipends that can serve as scholarship. So we have opportunities of that nature. We had also other classes where we had students who have taken the class apply for positions to be graders. So those would be available for students, given that would be on a need basis. So these are not every year, but they happen pretty consistently. They've happened in my time here almost every year on multiple occasions. So we have different opportunities for our students to be engaged. And our students can also work in different positions on campus as well, beyond our program. So students are qualified for on-campus engagements as well.
Yeah, but as specifically to that, teaching assistant and research assistant positions tend to go with the PhD program or an academic research program. So as a professional program, we don't have those kind of positions, but we have our other options for students to get some funding.
And one more question we'll read from here Let's see, what criteria do you use to consider the admission? There was a question about English language requirements, but we, I think, answered that. We take a very holistic approach. We want to get a sense of you as an individual. So all components of your application really matters to us, from your references to your video to your essay. We try to get a sense of who you are using all those components. So my recommendation personally would be to use those components strategically. Do not repeat the same element in each, but try to select someone to represent different sides of you, let it be professional or academic, or who speaks to who you are in all those components. And we consider that in consideration of the program that we have. So it's not just one element, but the whole picture that matters to us, not just grades, but who you are, that we really take to heart.
Yeah. Let's go back to the room, and then we'll get back to some of the online questions.
Yeah, it's just, aside from the financial aid, are there any scholarship or fellowship opportunities for students?
So the positions we've already mentioned in the department are some funding. The partner program that Alex was talking about, those positions come with a scholarship if you get a partner program position. So the majority of our students fund the program through either student loans, through filling out the FAFSA, or their employers sometimes have tuition reimbursement programs that they'll use, or we've had a number of veterans use GI Bill to go through the program. So those are kind of the big three. And then we have other students that are really creative about it. Because you can take quarters off, we've had a number of people attend a quarter and then go work, a contract position or work full-time and save up money, take a quarter off, come back, pay for a quarter, take a quarter off, kind of like stagger through the program that way. And you can actually still finish the program in about 2.5 years doing that, kind of doing every other quarter in order to spread out, the finances there. I think of anything else we haven't mentioned already. There is an opportunity to apply for GOMAP, is the Graduate Opportunities and Minority Achievement Program here at UW, and we have 3 students we can nominate each year for a special scholarship through GOMAP. And so we've had good success with students getting those scholarships. They're often substantial for 3/4 even of funding. And so that's something that we have posted on our fees and financing page on how to find out if you're eligible for that and how to apply for that.
Exactly, and one thing that we remind our students is we're part of UW, so University of Washington have a number of resources. So these are kind of the resources that we offer for our students, but when you go to that page, you'll see also a list of comprehensive resources that are available within our community and beyond.
My question is actually for the alumni. I know a couple of you had a number of years of work experience before joining this course, and I was hoping you could talk about that decision to go back to school after having a career, and also how did you manage to also juggle a full-time job along with the coursework?
You can start with, and then you
Sure.
can move it around.
So, for me, okay, I'll stand up. Hello. So speaking just for me, as I kind of alluded to, it's getting a master's degree was something that was always kind of important to me. So it was actually more like once I could feasibly do it from a financial sense, I kind of jumped into it. I mean, obviously I went to info sessions, I went to First Fridays. I made sure after I was thinking that I was really ready for it that I really did want to do it. Since doing it, I will say it is a challenge to balance it with, at least with my personal full-time job, because my full-time job is often a little bit more than full-time. That said, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I've had to travel for work, and then I work with professors if I'm going to miss a class. The teachers are really, really good about that. They want you to succeed, and so they'll often work with you to make some accommodations to make it so that you're able to get the most out of each class. So it ain't easy. Like, it's really, really been a struggle at times. I've had to work with self-care and try to figure out how to make space and time for myself and my family and my friends and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a struggle, but you can do it. How about the guy who's taking like 3 classes?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I decided to do 3 classes a quarter, but it's okay. I mean, this field is like changing at a pretty fast pace. That the decision was not, I didn't have to think about it that much. Like, communication is a really changing field. And so I had to update what I studied. I had to engage in a program where, I can challenge, ideas I had, or, meet people who have different ideas. So that's kind of how I wanted to approach this master's program. But also, the fact that, all the classes are like, evening or weekend classes, that really helps. If you're, I'm doing the partners program, which is not really like a desk job, but I'm working from home, so that's really helpful. The classes are as he mentioned, like they really want you to succeed. So it's about you managing your time, managing the stress, and just test the waters when you start the program. Like, see if 2 classes is okay. Next quarter, maybe you can change. I started with 1 class, and now like I can do 3 classes, and I think I'm gonna go back to 2 classes. But so you just test the water and see how it goes. But yeah.
Thank you. So maybe let's move to one question from.
Yeah, and I'm going to send this one over to Anita just for microphone warning. Question from Sierra asks, are there any classes or tracks that focus on racial equity and restorative justice in the communities and networks focus?
Are any classes that
Classes or tracks?
Or tracks,
Or
yeah.
series of classes.
Yeah, we have a number. Well, there are a couple classes that come to mind. In terms of restorative justice, I'll start with that one. We have a class in the MCCN track on communication for advocacy. And this is a class that's taught by an instructor, a professor, a professional who has a law degree and who works at the city of Seattle. And the design of this particular class is one where there are clients that are brought into class that are undergoing particular campaigns, whether it's awareness raising, legislation that is hoping to be passed, and teams are put together from students that actually work on the steps in putting forward successful advocacy campaigns. I don't know if we've had one that's actually addressed this kind of topic specifically, but I can imagine that this is one of those classes where many of the clients that are coming forward for these advocacy movements are ones that are looking to shift certain power structures, shift certain legislation around systems that are seen as having deep inequities in society. And so I can imagine that Sejal, in the way that she designs this class, is looking for clients that are going to be able to approach those kinds of topics. And so that's one that absolutely comes to mind. In terms of was the topic before the racial equity. In terms of racial equity, Sarah Ross's class is one that comes to mind. That's also in the, is it at the MCCN?
It's MCCN.
Yeah. Also in the MCCN track, that looks at the ways in which organizations can address in a very mindful, a very intentional, and a very actionable way, in what ways are the systems in that organization ones that work for more equitable representation, advocacy, exposure, and really being clear about steps that organizations need to take to dismantle existing racist structures and come forward in new systems that are inclusive, that really speak to the power of organizations' success needs to see diversity and equity and inclusion as an asset. And how do we deliver on that asset mindset, starting with the organizations where we work? So I think Sarah Ross's class and Sejal Parish's class in terms of advocacy and equity are the two that come to mind.
Great, thank you. I'm going to combine 2 questions here, and they're probably questions a lot of people in the room have as well. On how does the program support students to obtain full-time or part-time internships throughout the program? And I'm going to ask Liao. She can maybe come up and talk about that. And while she's making her way up here, another question was, when can you begin an internship position as an international student? Which is a great question. So our partner program has positions that are on campus, so they're considered on campus. So some of those you can start as an international student right away. When you start in the program, for off-campus positions, the visa requires that you wait 3 full-time quarters before you can work off-campus. So we try to offer those on-campus opportunities in the partner program as much as we can so that you can work right away in that kind of position as an international student. But how does the program support students to obtain jobs and internships?
Yeah, when we talk about either full-time internship or part-time internship, I think that might be a question for everyone in our room as well. So I would say, like, when we talk about the First Friday events, every time when we go to an organization, so for example, like October, we went to Wake Communications, and we'll connect with their recruiter there directly, and they always have some upcoming opportunities for our students, and they have summer internship open to public. However, they're willing to have an internal pool for our Comm Lead students, just for us. And so if you are interested and the students can apply directly and through our recruiter and through our internship program manager, and then they can get connected. So that is one example to see. Like, we encourage you to go to our network events, to meet with our recruiters, to connect with them, get some internship. And the second thing is, every week we send out the weekly job email, and that job email, that job opportunities come from all our faculty, from our staff, and they have connections. And when our alumni has an open internship opportunity, they will share with us. So we're able to connect you with our alumni for this internship opportunity as well. And I think maybe we can share a little about what we're planning to do for next year. So for next spring, we are planning to have an internship or job opportunity fair that invites different kinds of organization and company to come to the UW campus and to meet and connect with our Comm Lead students. So I would say that will be a special event for us. Yeah.
Thank you, Mia. So final couple questions, both from online and from the room, before we transition into more informal one-on-one questions that you may have, but something that you would like the whole room to hear. Final questions. We want to just go ahead.
Oh, we have a mic.
Oh, go ahead.
So when you were I was looking at the curriculums, and there's a lot that I'm interested in. There's some I know I have gaps in, there's some I've just never explored. Realistically, though, how many are you able to take a class from each of those? Is the program long enough for that, or would it be like considered extra? Like, what is the expectation there?
So we have a couple it's in total, well, we have a dual degree option too, which extends those who are in the program to complete both tracks, which is CN and DM. But when you actually pick one of those, so if you're a digital media track, so a Master of Communication digital media recipient, you complete 45 credits, and out of those 45 credits, your core classes currently is 10 credits, so that leaves you with 35 credits. The only other requirement we have is to take an ethics or research class. But those are actually, most of our classes fulfill those requirements. So you will find something within your interest area that either has an ethical component or a research component. For instance, most of our user experience classes fulfill the research component. So it's rarely a challenge to fulfill that. So that is about, so each classes range from 3 to 5 credits. Depending on their contact hours and the range of their projects that are asked for students to complete. So that leaves you anywhere between 7 to 8 classes if you take 3 credit or 2 credit classes as well. You have a variety of different options to explore, and it's really up to our students. Some students focus on a particular area and take, for example, they're interested in user experience, and they take all our user experience classes, and in addition to our core classes and ethics requirement. And then some students want to get a range of different options and explore, and they're able to still focus and take 3 classes in the same subject area, but still have the option of 4 to 5 classes to look around and learn different subjects.
And you can take up to 10 credits outside of your degree. So like if you're a digital media student, you can take up to 10 credits in communities and networks. And within that, you can also take up to 5 credits outside of the program completely. So we have people take a class from another UW graduate program. To answer your question, some people do take extra credits. We'll take your money. That, you know, if you want to pay for extra credits. We have, because it's 45 credits and people that are full-time, so 10 credits is full-time. So doing the math, you end up with 1 quarter that's only 5 credits. Often people will go full-time that quarter and finish with 50 credits if they just want to, you know, take more classes. So.
Great. Go ahead.
We want to
frame this as I go. So if I want to apply for both the courses, and I do, will that really, while evaluating, like as you know, evaluate both the applications, will that really seem as indecisive in the sense that I'm sort of applying for both, I'm writing essays for both, so would that really reflect on my personality as a, applicant?
Please don't submit 2 applications, you're wasting your money. Because we review all of them as one pool. So what you want to do instead is pick one degree and apply for that degree, but then in your statement of purpose and your essay part, say that you want to pursue both. But please don't pay 2 application fees. It's just a duplicate, and we feel bad when people do that. So just choose one to apply to and tell us either in the video or in your letter of intent that you're planning to do both.
Exactly. You will have the option to apply for the second degree once you're in the program. So, one quick question here is, what month do classes typically commence if you're accepted? The answer to that is late September.
Fall quarter is the only quarter we admit students for, and that starts, since UW's on the quarter system, end of September. I think for fall 2020, it's like September 29th or 30th.
Exactly. And we have a mandatory orientation a week before. So for those who get in, that'll be the date we will have to mark.
And for those online, if as quickly as I can, I'm going to try to answer your questions, but while you move to the next section. But if I don't get to your question in the chat function, then please email us at commlead@uw.edu, and I will answer your question through email.
Yes. So thank you all for joining us. Please grab a slice of pizza. Come and talk to us. We will be here for another half an hour to 45 minutes. We're here for you. We'll answer all your questions. Thank you for joining us today. Great to meet all of you.